Hey everybody, welcome back to another installment in the happiness series. I hope that you're enjoying this as much as I am. In this video, we're going to be talking about where you're placing your attention. Who has your attention? My name is Dr. Matthew Shim. I'm the owner of Peak Brain Performance Centers here in Colorado Springs. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is something called the Tetris Effect. So in this study at Harvard, researchers paid 27 different people to play Tetris for multiple hours for 3 days in a row. And what they found was that after the study, some participants could not stop dreaming about these shapes falling from the sky. And it went as far as them reporting walking through the aisles of their local supermarkets and then trying to decide between different cereals. They would notice how perfectly one cereal box would fit in the gap on the shelf below, or they would look out at the skyline in the city and they'd wonder, if I take this building and I flip it on its side, would it fit the gap in between the other two buildings? Think about how crazy that is. So the Tetris effect stems from a very normal physical process that repeatedly playing triggers in people's brains, and they become stuck in something called a cognitive afterimage. So you know those feelings where you see those spots in your vision after someone takes a flash photograph of you? This happens because the flash momentarily burns an image on your visual field so that as you look around the world, you still see that light pattern, that after image everywhere. However, this isn't just a vision problem. Playing hours and hours of Tetris actually changed the wiring of these people's brains. The consistent play has created new neural pathways in the brain, and now they're interpreting real life situations differently. The next thing is we all know someone or have been around someone, or maybe you are this person who walks into a room and immediately finds one thing to complain about. These people aren't usually trying to be difficult or grumpy. Their brains are just tuned into scanning their environments for negative things. And so spotting the annoyances, stressors, and hassles. So the problem is that they get stuck in that pattern, always looking for and picking up on the negative. Even a paradise can look like hell. And even worse, the better we get at scanning for the negative, the more we miss out on those positive encounters. These things in life that bring us greater happiness and in turn fuel our success, we're no longer seeing because we're so prone to scanning for the negative. So now picture this. You walk outside and the sun is shining. There's two possible thoughts that could pop up into your mind. One being, oh, wow, it's so nice and sunny out today. The other one is, I wish it wasn't so hot today. Right? Both statements are based in reality. It is sunny and indeed hot, but the second outlook will not provide all of the cascade of positive emotions that we've discussed in prior videos. So constantly scanning the world for these negative outcomes comes with a great cost. It undercuts our creativity, it raises our stress levels, it lowers our motivation and our ability to accomplish certain goals. So try to scan for the positive outlooks, right? In this study, what they found was that lawyers are 3.6 times more likely to suffer from major depressive disorder than the rest of the employed population. Now, how crazy is that? Why is that? And so why that is because law schools inherently teach students to look for flaws in their arguments. And then they train them to be critical rather than accepting. And while this is obviously a crucial skill for lawyers and attorneys in practice, when it starts to leak beyond the courtroom and into their personal lives, that's when you can have significant outcomes or significant negative outcomes. So in this article, they also discuss how many lawyers will find themselves involuntarily thinking about quality time with their spouse or their children or whatever it may be in terms of billable hours. Even during their moments of what should be leisure, these lawyers could tell you just how much time they had wasted discussing the color of the new wallpaper on the wall, whatever it may be, right? And this goes for everyone. I mean, we've all met the athlete that can't stop competing, or maybe you're a social worker who deals with abuse all day, and now you have a hard time trusting people, or a financial advisor who assesses the risk in every single decision that they make. And I'm not saying that this is bad, because being stuck in these patterns are what lead an individual to excel in their individual profession. But the problem occurs when we can't compartmentalize these abilities. Another thing is scientists estimate that we remember only one of every 100 pieces of information we receive. The rest effectively gets filtered out and dumped into our brain's spam file. So what I want you to think about is this filter works kind of like the spam filter on your email. Your spam blocker follows certain rules that you tell it to delete unimportant emails without you ever having to see or process them. And this would work fine if we could only trust our brain's filter to know exactly what is best for us. But can we trust that? Here's a good video to explain that. If you've seen this before, please forgive me, but I think it does a good job at illustrating the last point. So it was 13 passes. Did you get that right? But did you see the moonwalking bear? So now, as you're not watching the folks in white pass their ball around, do you see the moonwalking bear in the middle of the screen? If you didn't see it the first time, it's because you were so focused on counting the passes. Now your brain filter just dumped that gorilla sighting right into your spam folder. This selective perception is also why when you're looking for something, you see it everywhere. So for example, remember, or think about, I can remember like when my parents bought a new vehicle whenever I was a kid, I remember seeing that vehicle all over the place, right? Or just these different things where you all of a sudden you draw awareness to this water bottle, right? And now all of a sudden I see everybody carries the same water bottle. It's things like that where we draw our attention to it, and now it becomes more prominent in our everyday society. In this study, they found that two people looking at the same picture of a friend can see two completely different expressions on that friend's face depending on what they were expecting to see. How wild is that? Now, priming yourself to expect a favorable outcome encode your brain to recognize the outcome when it does arise. So think of the consequences this has on your career success, which is pretty much almost entirely predicted on your ability to spot and then capitalize on a certain opportunity. So in this study, they found that 69% of high school and college students report that their career decisions are dependent on just random chance encounters, right? The only difference between the people who capitalize on those chances and those who watch them pass by is all a matter of focus. Where are you spending your attention? In this study, they found that participants that wrote down 3 good things each day for a week were happier and less depressed at the 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month follow-up. So this is how we put it into action. This is what we're actually going to be doing to take advantage of this principle. So they wrote down things that brought them laughter or, feelings of accomplishment or strengthen their connection with a family member, or a friend, or maybe a glimmer of hope for the future ahead. And because we can only focus on so much at once, our brains now push all those small annoyances and frustrations that we used to loom over or we used to have anxiety about, that pushes that aside. Just like with that last video that I showed you, is that gorilla was there the whole time, right? But you pushed that aside because you were drawing so much attention to the team in white that was passing the basketball. They also remain significantly happier in the study. They remain significantly happier and showed higher levels of optimism even after the study was completed, after they had stopped writing down these goals. And as with any skill, the more we practice, the more easily and naturally it becomes. So now imagine as you're walking through your everyday, and at night, let's say at night, you write down your 3 good things that happen each day. And so now as you're walking through your day, you're going to be trying to consciously and draw conscious awareness to those instances where you were in a positive mindset, or you had something that made you happy. You're now going to draw more attention to those individual things because at the end of the day, I have to write 3 things down in my journal. Last thing here is optimism becomes maladaptive when it causes us to grossly overestimate our current abilities. So the key here is to not completely shut out all the bad all the time, but to have more of a reasonable and kind of realistic and healthy sense of optimism. The ideal mindset for someone is not void of all risk, but it does give priority to the good. And not just because that makes us happier, but because that is precisely what creates more good. Given the chance between seeing the world through some rose-tinted glasses or always walking under a rain cloud, the contest isn't even close. we're not just increasing our chances at happiness, we're setting off that chain of events that we've discussed in prior videos that help us reap all the benefits of a positive outlook in life. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions for me, feel free to give me an email or send me, or give me a call or send me an email. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.